My wife betrayed me with the only person I ever called a brother. And my parents? They begged me to forgive him. So I left, all of them. Hey everyone, we're just beginning our journey, and we would appreciate your help in reaching our first 1,000 subscribers. Thank you. Now, let's dive into the story. My name is Mark. I'm 35 years old. There was a time, not long ago, when my life was simple, stable, predictable, even. I was married to Rachel for nearly 7 years. I ran a small but successful design agency. My younger brother Sam worked in finance and lived 15 minutes away. We had Sunday dinners at my parents' house, laughed over old stories, and shared everything, or so I thought. Rachel was everything I'd ever wanted. Beautiful, smart, grounded. She made our house feel like home. I'd come back late from client meetings, and she'd be curled up with tea, waiting. We talked about kids, bought a bigger place in the suburbs. She decorated it like it came out of a magazine. Sam was always the golden boy. My parents adored him. He was charming, quick on his feet, and always had a new story. He made mistakes, sure, dropped out of law school, ran up credit debt, but somehow my parents always bailed him out. I didn't mind. I was the older one, the responsible one. I figured it balanced out. Until I found out Rachel and Sam were sleeping together. It started with small things, Rachel being on edge, Sam coming over more often without reason. I brushed it off until the night I came home early and saw Rachel's phone light up with his name while she was in the shower. Curiosity turned into obsession. I checked phone logs, bank statements, messages. I confronted her. At first, she lied, then cried, then confessed. When I called Sam, he said it just happened, that they were drunk, that it didn't mean anything. I lost my mind, but what broke me wasn't just them. It was my parents. They begged me not to make it worse, told me Sam felt terrible, that we were family, and family forgives. When I refused to speak to him, they pushed harder. You only have one brother, they kept saying. Don't throw that away. I asked them, what about what he threw away? They didn't answer. When I told them I couldn't be around people who defended betrayal, my mother cried. My father said I was being dramatic, so I packed a bag, and I left the entire state. To be continued. I didn't know where I was going at first. I just drove. Out of the city, out of the state, out of the shadow of everyone who made me feel like my pain was an inconvenience. I ended up 600 miles away in a small town in northern Oregon. The kind of place where people said hello to strangers and the gas station still had full service. I rented a room above an old bookstore owned by a woman named Ellen. She didn't ask questions, just gave me a key and said, "It's quiet, but you'll sleep better here." She was right. For weeks, I didn't speak to anyone unless I had to. I walked, I sat by the river, I stared at the ceiling. I started reading again, something I hadn't done in years. I bought a notebook and started sketching, not for work, just because it made the silence easier. Eventually, Ellen asked what I did before I came here. I told her I used to design brands, logos, and websites. She told me her nephew needed a logo for his bait shop. I said I'd help, no charge, just for something to do. Word got around. Within 2 months, I was making designs again. Business cards, signs, then a small business site for the bakery next door. Nothing big, but enough. Enough to remember I had value outside the version of me that was betrayed. My phone rang sometimes. My mother, my father, Sam even. I didn't answer. I didn't block them either. Let the ringing remind them what silence feels like. By the end of that year, I'd built a small portfolio again. I turned the room above the bookstore into something that felt like home. I started drinking coffee on the porch with Ellen every morning. We talked about nothing, the weather, the river, the way the town lights looked in winter. It was simple, and it healed me more than anything else had. Then one morning, 3 years after I disappeared, I opened my inbox and saw a name I hadn't read in a long time. Rachel. Subject line: I'm sorry, can we talk? I stared at it for a long time and didn't open it, but she didn't stop. A week later, another email. Then a message through my business website. I just want 5 minutes, please. Then a handwritten letter arrived addressed simply to Mark above the bookstore. Ellen handed it to me like it was poison. You want me to send this back? She asked. I shook my head. No, just give me a minute. It was 2 pages full of apologies. She said she wasn't asking for anything. She'd been divorced for over a year. She said she hadn't spoken to Sam since, claimed she'd spent every day regretting what she'd done. That seeing my name pop up in a design thread online made her realize she still owed me closure. Closure. It's funny how the people who break you always want to give you closure when they think you're healed enough to handle it. I didn't reply, but I didn't throw the letter away either. 2 months passed. Then one afternoon, while I was finishing a sign order at the local print shop, I saw her, Rachel, in person, standing across the street outside the bookstore. She didn't walk in. She just waited. My heart stopped for a second. She looked older, tired, like someone who had been dragging guilt around like a weighted blanket. I didn't go to her. Eventually, I walked home, quietly. She followed at a distance. When I reached the bookstore stairs, she spoke. "Mark, please, just talk to me, 1 minute." I turned, looked her straight in the eye. "What do you want to hear? That I forgive you? That it didn't break me? That I'm doing fine now because I am, but not because of you, in spite of you?" She looked down. "I know. You don't have to say anything. I just needed to see it, that you survived." "I did more than survive," I said. "I became someone you don't know anymore." She nodded. Her eyes welled, but she didn't cry. "Goodbye, Rachel," I said. Then I walked upstairs, and this time I closed the door behind me. Without looking back. A few weeks later, another unexpected visitor showed up in town. I was grabbing lunch at the diner across from the bookstore when I saw him through the window, standing awkwardly on the sidewalk, shifting his weight, looking like someone who didn't belong there. Sam. I hadn't seen him in almost 4 years. I stayed seated, watched him glance at the sign on the bookstore, then at the diner. When he spotted me, his face lit up with something between hope and shame. He crossed the street and walked in. "Hey, Mark," he said cautiously. I didn't say a word. He stood there, uncertain. "Mind if I sit?" I gestured to the chair across from me. Not an invitation, a formality. He sat slowly. "You look good, better than I expected." "What did you expect?" He winced. "Honestly, I thought you'd be angry forever." "You're not wrong," I said. He swallowed hard. "I've thought about this moment for years, practiced it in my head 1,000 times. But sitting here now, I just want to say I'm sorry. I was selfish. I ruined everything. And I don't blame you for cutting me out." I looked at him, really looked at him. He looked older too, thinner, not as confident. He continued, "I've been in therapy. I've changed a lot, and not a day goes by that I don't think about what I did. To you, to our family." I nodded slowly. "I'm glad you're getting help, but I'm not interested in rebuilding something I didn't break." He looked down, biting his lip. "I'm not angry anymore, Sam," I added. "But I don't trust you, and I don't want people in my life who chose themselves over me when it mattered most." He nodded. "I get that. I do. I miss my brother." "You lost him," I said quietly, "and that's not on me to fix." Silence settled over the table like a fog. He finally stood. "If you ever change your mind—" "I won't," I interrupted. He nodded again, eyes moist. "Goodbye, Mark." "Goodbye, Sam." He walked out. I didn't turn to watch him go. Some doors stay closed for a reason. A week after Sam left town, the phone rang again. This time I answered. It was my mother. "Mark?" she said, her voice cautious, like she was talking to someone else's son. "Please, I know you saw your brother. He told us." "Did he also tell you what he did?" She sighed. "Mark, we're not going to relive all that again. What happened, happened. But it's been years. Don't you think it's time?" "Time for what? To pretend like none of it mattered?" "Time to move on. You're both grown men. This family is fractured. We need you back." I felt my chest tighten. "You didn't defend me. You defended him. He made a mistake when no. A mistake is forgetting a birthday. This was betrayal. You still can't even say it." "Mark, he's your brother. Blood is blood. Blood doesn't excuse disloyalty." There was silence, then my father took the phone. "Son, I know we didn't handle things the right way, but your mother's right. We're older now. We don't know how many more holidays we've got. We want our family whole again. You had a chance to stand beside me when I needed you. You chose not to. We were trying to keep the peace, at the cost of your eldest son's trust." More silence. "If you want to rebuild something, you start by acknowledging the damage. not pretending it never happened. I waited. They didn't say anything. Goodbye, I said, and I hung up. That night, I sat by the river until the sun dipped behind the trees and the sky turned soft and orange. I wasn't angry, just tired. Tired of people wanting my peace without earning it. Tired of being asked to carry the weight of what others broke. I knew it would take a long time to unlearn what betrayal had taught me. That love doesn't always mean safety. That blood doesn't always mean loyalty. That some people will ask for your forgiveness without ever acknowledging what they cost you. I had made progress, sure, but I still had walls. Still struggled to let people in. Even Ellen, who had been nothing but kind, didn't know half of what I'd been through. So I poured my energy into work. I built logos, designed signs, and wrote clean code for websites with steady hands, even when my heart still trembled in quiet moments. I walked every morning, sometimes before sunrise. I lifted weights in the tiny gym down the street. I started running, not fast, not far, just enough to sweat the memories out of my skin. The movement helped. The routine grounded me. I wasn't ready to love again. I wasn't even ready to fully trust myself. But I was building something, and that counted for more than the people I left behind could ever understand. Sometimes healing doesn't look like forgiveness. Sometimes it just looks like showing up every single day for yourself.